Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. We are back again with Cozy. Arsenal have contacted Everton about the availability of Amadou Onana. Will we see a breakthrough in terms of that deal, or will we go for the alternative, which is Joao Neves? Another player who's been linked to Arsenal, but the money that he will cost is a lot. Sesko's offer is on the table. Which decision will he make before the Euros? And despite Arsenal having 4 players who can play at left back, Arteta is still interested in adding another left back option. So Kazi, how are you, man?
I'm okay. I'm actually very, very energetic today. I'm going to. I want to share some of the things that I've felt in the last 24 hours about Mikel Arteta's madness a little bit. And of course, people that watch this podcast already know that we are not 100% here to say yes to every move that the club makes, but we are also here to support the manager and support the players. So I'm a little bit disgruntled about the moves, but personally, I'm still very fine. I've had a very fantastic day, and I hope everyone has had a fantastic day as well.
Absolutely. I hope you guys are doing well. Let us know about what you make about everything we talk about. But first up, let's start with the Amadou Onana situation. Now, midfield for me, as I've always said, that is my priority. We still are not 100% sure whether Partey is going to stay or going to leave. We've been told before that he wants to stay and the club won't push him out. So depending on what happens to him, we don't know if that is what we are waiting for in terms of sorting out our midfield. Are we waiting for Partey to move on fast and then get a midfielder? Are we going to add someone on top of Partey as an option in midfield? Jorginho's already signed a new contract. El Neni has already left. Declan Rice, we are looking to play him as a number 8. So what will happen? Now, according to reports on Amadou Onana from Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal have contacted Everton over the availability of Amadou Onana. Concrete talks between clubs are yet to take place, but the Belgian is appreciated. Now, Cozy, in terms of midfielders and the midfield options that you've been linked to, how high does Onana rank on your list? Is in the top 5 of the players in midfield that you want? Is in the top 3 or is nowhere near in the top 5?
Well, honestly, we've been linked with some very good names. This summer, Bruno Guimaraes up there among the best midfielders in the Premier League. I think I would say he's the best all-round player, all-round midfielder in the Premier League. The likes of Martin Zubimendi, he's definitely nailed it, at Real Sociedad for the last 3 years. So you would again say he's a very good player. Douglas Luiz, but I think Amadou Onana is also very close. I wouldn't say top 5 because for me, I'm looking for a defensive midfielder, and that's what I'm looking out for. So I wouldn't say top 5. There is the likes of Frankie De Jong, Joao Neves that I really like, but I would say top 10. I would say top 6, top 7, around there. I rate him as a player. I don't want people to say, well, because he doesn't rate Amadou Onana, he doesn't rate anyone anyway. No, I rate him as a player. I think he's got a very, very good career coming up. And wherever he goes, whether it's Arsenal, whether he stays at Everton, or to a Chelsea or to Manchester United, I think he will be a very, very vital player for them. Now, at the moment, I don't think Arsenal, in terms of what we need, I don't think I would rate him among our top 5 targets, honestly. Like, think about Onana's game and think about Martin Zubimendi's game or Douglas Luiz's game or Bruno Guimaraes' game. The other options are very big in terms of, staying central, being able to be the metronome of that midfield, be the heartbeat of the midfield, just combat, counter attacks and sniff out any kind of danger. I don't think that's Amadou Onana for you. And if he signs, then we might actually even have to rethink the role of your Declan Rice, right? So I wouldn't rate him top 5 among the players that we're linked with, but I would say still up there, still very high, quality player.
Absolutely. Now, for me, as I've always said, if we are getting rid of Partey and then getting Onana, and that is the only midfield business we do, I'm not really satisfied with that. If Partey is staying and then we add Onana, then I'll be like, okay, that is okay. But if Partey also goes and then you bring Onana and another midfielder, I'd be like, that is absolutely fine. So the reason for you thinking like, in terms of fitting Arsenal, do you think it's more of the style of play we'll be looking for players who can control the midfield better in terms of Zubimendi and players like Jorginho and players like that, rather than just having a bull inside there?
I think Mikel is looking at him as a young player, 22, 23 years of age. coachable. I think that's the most important element about a project like Arsenal. You have young players coming in into this project. Are they coachable? Are they flexible? Can you bend them into something that you have already created? Because they're still very young. They're still learning a couple of ideas here and there. I mean, to give credit to Mikel, he has bent the philosophy and the education, dispositions of Granit Xhaka, who was 30 plus, into one of the best box-to-box midfielders that we have seen in the Premier League, scoring goals and creating chances in his last season at Arsenal. And we all said maybe you could have kept him. Maybe we should have kept him. So I don't think Mikel has a problem with resocializing players and recultivating cultures and education values into players. There's no problem there. And I think that is what they're looking at into Amadou Onana. Physical, tall. He's more like a midfield giant, a midfield dynamite and engine. I think in terms of boosting his defensive game, that is something that Arsenal can work on, right? Because he's already physical. He's already a presence. Like, if a team lines up with Declan Rice, Onana, and Martin Odegaard, that is not a midfield you're like, I don't think they will do anything. You're really, really scared, about that, right? So I think he will help Mikel Arteta dominate games, but I don't think right away. I think he will do it maybe in his second season at Arsenal. There is a lot to learn. When you look at his swagger and you look at his arrogance on the ball, he's a player that loves to be on the ball. He's a player that wants to be driving the ball and driving attacks in midfield. At Arsenal, I don't think he's going to get that a lot of the time. You already have your Martin Odegaard, who's actually the king at doing that in midfield, and then the Declan Rice boy. So I think for you to sign for Arsenal, you must be able to, learn a new role. And I think with Amadou Onana, if he comes in, he's going to be able to learn a new role. He's going to have to be able to learn a new role in defensive midfield. How do you help a team dominate football? How do you help a team, dominate, games of football, 10 games, 20 games, in a row? So I would say, yes, he will help us dominate, but at the moment, you still keep your Partey, you still keep your Jorginho, because Onana has not arrived yet into the caliber, into the class of, Douglas Luiz, Guimaraes, or even a Martin Zubimendi at the moment. In terms of midfield control, and also in terms of taking care of the ball.
You've touched a bit on something I was going to ask you, but you're going to come back to that later. So in terms of, I know you can never have enough of a quality in a certain position. But for me, the next question is, which quality in terms of our midfielders, Rice, Jorginho, Partey, Odegaard, everyone playing in those three midfield positions, which quality do you feel like, okay, we have enough of this, we need to look for this other thing? Is it ball control? Do you think that's enough with the midfielder that we have? Do you think it's the physicality that, okay, that is enough, we have enough physicality, let's now look for someone who's technical? Do you think we have more control, more technicality, more playmaking? What's the one quality like you feel we have enough of with those players, Odegaard, Rice, Partey, Jorginho?
Ball progression. Okay. Arsenal is one of the teams in the Premier League and Europe as well, by the way, that are having the most progressive passes, progressive carries, and penalty entries and touches in the penalty area. Now, that comes from the fact that when Odegaard drops deep, he will successfully drive that ball. He will progress that ball from deeper areas into advanced areas of the pitch successfully without failing. Declan Rice, in my opinion, he's the best progressor of the ball at Arsenal right now. Like, in terms of him carrying it, you're not going to get it from him. He's a giant, and he's a technically gifted giant. With Jorginho and Partey, the advantage they have over Declan Rice is they don't have to carry the ball. Their passing is absolutely insane. We are talking about 89%, 90%, 92% ball passing accuracy in every single game. And Jorginho has done that. I think it was like 14 games in a row where Arsenal were just winning. And he was in that midfield just passing the ball forward. As simple as that. That was his job. Getting it back and just passing it forward. So for me, it's ball progression. We have enough ball progresses. And that puts Amadou Onana into a very difficult position. We will compare him to Youssouf Fofana because in terms of his profile, he's very similar to Youssouf Fofana. Like, both athletic players, that love to be on the ball. But in terms of ball winning, Yusuf Fana is a different, is a different level, is on a different level as compared to Onana. But we'll talk about them. We'll compare them, both of them. So at the moment, I would say the quality that Arsenal should be looking for, and this is in terms of, inheritance and succession, is the ball winning ability. Not because Declan Rice doesn't have it, and not because Odegaard and Kai don't have it, but because you're losing a player like Thomas Partey, who can play a single pivot, winning the ball back and shifting, shielding that midfield, that defense, and the midfield as well, very, very successfully against Tottenham, against Newcastle, against Man United, against teams that really have good quality in midfield. So I think that is what Arsenal should be looking at in this window. As we lose Partey, a single midfield player, a single pivot player that can win the ball back against any team, any midfielder, and help us control the ball, control the rhythm of the game. Who do we bring in? Who has that quality? Who has that special quality? It should be a player who is in the 98th percentile and above, or even 99th percentile and above in terms of ball winning. Because ball carrying, you have those two, Odegaard and Rice. They'll do it. Creativity, we are sorted. We are really sorted. So in terms of, it may be midfield control, just making sure that you have a player who is always on the watch, right? Picking up the ball, positioning himself very well, and things like that, just to make sure that he recycles position all the time. But most importantly at the moment, a player who can win the ball back very, very effectively, and also help us to, do the transition like Partey does.
So you don't think Onana is that?
I just don't think Amadou Onana is that. Now, I want him, but when I'll give you an example. When we were kids, you could have a new pair of shoes, but then you want another one, not necessarily to put it on, but just to have it. So Onana is a player I would want to have. He's a toy. Not a toy, obviously. This is just the analogy. He's a toy I would love to have, right? Even when I have a better toy. So when we look at reports coming out that Mikel Arteta is big on Fabio Vieira, where do you think Fabio Vieira is going to play? Do you think he's going to play as a striker, as a center forward? No. He's going to be playing somewhere in that midfield. He's going to find a place for him in that midfield. And that means that the duties that Declan Rice is giving us are going to be shared with Fabio Vieira. And the duties that Martin Odegaard is giving us will be shared with Fabio Vieira. So in terms of ball progression, which Amadou Onana does very well, we actually have that. Right? In terms of, maybe the physicality, I still think that Declan Rice is a very, very big cheat code in football. Yeah. Like he can play 100 and 200 and 300 games and he doesn't feel like tired. So if you come in that position just to wait for him to be rotated or for him to pick up an injury, you're actually wasting your time. So the most important quality at the moment that Arsenal need in midfield, Amadou Onana doesn't have it. You don't regard him as one of the players that fight for the ball. You don't regard him as one of the players that don't want to lose the ball. You don't regard him as one of the players that take care of the ball very well, let alone winning it cleanly and consistently, like Partey, or even or even some of the midfielders we've seen, like Joao Palhinha picks up like hundreds of yellow cards, but in terms of tackling, he has heavy tackles. He has many successful tackles because he attempts many. I don't see him in that caliber. I don't see him as a player that I could be wrong, but I've seen Manchester United fans say we want Amadou Onana because we have Kobe Mainoo and we have Casemiro and we have Bruno. So we would want someone who could actually come in that in that number 8 box to box role. So most of the fans that want him in their side, they look at him as a box to box player, and I don't think that's a mistake.
Perfect. That brings me directly to the next question. So we forgetting about what Arsenal is spelling for Declan Rice. If you have Declan Rice on Onana, who would you play in the 6 and who would you play in the 8?
I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's Declan Rice, because with Declan Rice, he's been there for a year. Honestly, he has tried the number 6, and he's built a career as a ball winner. Right now at Arsenal, like Rice said himself, the number 6 role is very different from the number 6 role at England. At England, You as a number 6, what you've got to do is win the ball back. You can progress it if you can, but if you don't want to progress it, you can give it to the players ahead of you, and your job is done. At Arsenal, the number 6 is the starter. Basically, not the starter because Raya is the starter of attacks. But I want to be realistic. The number 6 pivot is the starting point of our attacks. And anyone who saw Arsenal struggle during the start of the season last season, you could see that Declan Rice was not willing to be pressed by opposition players and come out on top. So he was playing it safe. So I think he's played there in the Arsenal system. If you gave it to Amadou Onana, I don't think you would actually have a lot of success. You would actually lose the ball a lot of the time in that area, and you don't want to lose the ball in that area. So for me, it would be Declan Rice because he's been there for a year, he's played in that position, and he's a natural ball winner, right? In terms of game control, you can talk to him that, like, please don't drive a lot, don't get into the penalty area a lot of the time. You're now playing as a deeper 6. You're now playing as a metronome of the midfield rather than a box-to-box. With Amadou Onana, actually, I think he would be much better in the 8 with a player like Declan Rice. They could exchange, obviously, because Rice has got the qualities that Onana has. So there's a lot of exchange you would actually get. But secondly, apart from the exchange, he plays at a club like Everton that doesn't have the ball a lot of the time, right? And he doesn't have the defensive assurance of a player like Declan Rice, and he doesn't have the quality to complement him of going forward of a player like Martin Odegaard. So I think he would be fantastic in the left 8. He would be absolutely, an absolute success for us if he can
the ball carrying as well. The ball carrying is great
as well. The part of his game that I don't trust is scoring goals. Like with Declan Rice, people were really telling us, he scores goals, but people really undermined him in terms of scoring goals. And we said, no, come on, we've not seen it, but we've seen it. But with Amadou Onana, even when he's been in those goal-scoring positions, he's not looked as clinical, as lethal, as effortless as as a good modern number 8 would be. So I'd have problems there. So at the moment, generally, I'll play him as 8. Declan Rice as 6, but I would still have my own problems with that, with that as well.
So I pretty much share the same opinion as Koz in terms of Onana. In terms of him getting him the ball and him being the guy to progress the ball from us from the number 6 position, I wouldn't really trust him to do that because that needs a lot of technical ability and a lot of passing ability and a lot of, calmness, control. Don't lose the ball, because the moment you lose the ball in that position, it's over for you. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. So, and in terms of him playing as a number 8, again, the goals, as Kozier said, there's C. So are we really going to get that in terms of return? I'm not really sure. But would we still want him at Arsenal? I would say yes. That's why I'm saying if Partey is staying and Onana is coming in to play, a couple of games, if Partey is not there for 2 games, you have Onana, absolutely no problem. But where I'd have a problem with is if Onana is now the guy to play from match day 1 to match day 38, I wouldn't really trust him. But if he's coming in with another midfielder as well, I absolutely have no problem with that. So lastly on him, Kozi, how much would you be willing to pay for him?
I mean, it's interesting because Everton are willing to sell. We could actually put them in a corner and agree a deal between 35 to 40 million euros. And that is how much I'll be willing to go. I don't think Arsenal really need him. I don't think we necessarily need him. I don't think Arsenal look at him and should look at him as our next number 6, because that is going to take some time. That is going to take us time to get this guy going, right? In the new number 6 role. And even in that number 8, I kind of feel like, no, he's not yet. He's not yet there. He's not the guy. So 40 million euros maximum, right? I think Everton would be willing to listen to offers around there and maybe, stretching to 45 million euros. It wouldn't be a bad deal, but for me, I look at him as surplus requirements. Like I said, if I was to compare him to a Fofana at Monaco, Yusuf Fofana, I would take Yusuf Fofana every single day. Every single day.
Makes sense. Let us know in the comment section if you'd want Onana to be a starter at Arsenal. Would you want him to be a backup to Partey? How much would you pay for him? Because that is a guy we are interested in. As according to Fabrizio Romano, we've contacted Everton about his availability. Now, another midfielder we've been linked to that might impress Kozi more than Onana is Joao Neves. This is the latest on him from Fabrizio Romano as well. Joao Neves has been mentioned as a possible alternative for Arsenal in midfield. My information there remains that Neves has been scouted by Arsenal, Man United and Man City. all clubs interested, but nothing is advanced at this stage. It's also important to remember that Neves' price tag is double compared to Zubimendi, who we talked about yesterday with Kozi, as his release clause is 120 million euros. Now, before I even talk about the money, Kozi, Joao Neves and Onana, if they're both the same price, it's a no-brainer you'd pick Joao Neves, and why?
It's a no-brainer. I would go with Joao Neves because of the profile of the player, but also in terms of what Arsenal need short term and long term. Short term, we need a player that can work in tandem with Jorginho, share the minutes, and take off the workload of him. Right, in games where you need legs, in games where you need tackles, in games where you need a bit of roughness, you play your young Joao Neves. And when you need control, when you need midfield management, Jorginho comes in. Then, of course, you have Thomas Partey, the master of the art. I'm sure Joao Neves would be much better lining off a player like Thomas Partey and Mikel Arteta, who have literally played in that position of midfield control and just make sure that the midfield is safe, right? So for me, it would be Joao Neves for that reason. Secondly, in terms of long term, right? In terms of the long term, Joao Neves is one player I look at. If he doesn't really pick up injuries, like Lodri, because Lodri doesn't pick up injuries. If he doesn't pick up injuries, he's your next world international. Busquets, Lodri, which other defensive midfielder has been like just there? They're always there. Michael Carrick,
Cruz.
Cruz. Those are players. They don't miss games. They don't go to parties. They don't party. They don't have hangovers. They don't fall sick. The only reason they're not playing football is because you don't have a football game. That's the only reason that they're not on the pitch. You'll not see them because you don't have a football game. So for me, I like him. I really, really do. I think there's a time when Mikel said that there's some deals or there's some opportunities that arrive on the market and you've got to take advantage. This is one of them. When I compare him to Onana, I'm like, Onana is also a very good talent, but he's not generational. It's not generational talent. With Joao Neves, he is generational talent. I can get Onana. Like I said, if I get Yusuf Fofana, I can do. He can do a bit of Onana. If I get, Bruno Guimaraes, he can do even better than Onana. If I went and got my guy Frankie De Jong in terms of that left eight, he can do a job there. But in terms of Joao Neves, if you're looking at a 19-year-old who his parent club are even scared that there's going to be a club that is willing to pay 120 million euros for that boy, right? That is generation talent. Look at the caliber and profile of managers that are actually scouting him. This is we're hearing Man City, we're hearing Arsenal. That is Mikel Arteta. That is Pep Guardiola. That is the best of the rest. I don't know why Man United are there. I don't know why. I mean, they always seem to to scout everyone, right? And try to
the next Carrick for them, maybe.
They try to end people's careers early. But for me, the two clubs, Man City and Arsenal, speak volumes. It would be the same back in the day when Sir Alex Ferguson wanted you and Arsene Wenger wanted you. You are a special kid. We're talking Sami Nasri, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We're talking Wayne Rooney. You are a special kid. So for me, Joao Neves is a no-brainer. A number 6 that has been made, born, and cultured and educated to play there. Onana doesn't even stand a chance on this boy. For me, he doesn't stand a chance.
I watched him 2 nights ago playing for Portugal. He started. He was absolutely incredible in the midfield. If you guys can get that game or the highlights of his game, he was absolutely incredible in that midfield. And that is an international level. I mean, the quality of the team here, people say blah, 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 but he's still a very good midfield in terms of that. So how high does he rank on your list? I asked you the same on Onana. Is he in the top 3 of players you'd get in midfield? How would you compare him to Zubimendi and Douglas Luiz? Would you have him above them? Because experience is also a factor. Yes, he's a very good player, but I'm always like, and he is tiny, by the way. So him playing that game, he is really tiny. I was like, this guy is very small. So if he's up against a De Bruyne, he's up against an Onana, if Onana is still at Everton, or up against those players who are very strong and bully. Yes, in terms of technicality, is great. We saw Spain winning 3 international tournaments in a row without big players, and they were playing around players who are really big and they were keeping the ball. Would you be happy having Joao Neves in our midfield starting from match day 1, or would you be like, nah, he's not really ready in terms of starting, in terms of experience and all that?
Yeah. So I think I wouldn't put him top three. I wouldn't put
Yeah.
him top three in terms of the midfielders that we are linked with. I mean, you've got a Bruno Guimaraes there. Guimaraes is all round. You've got a Douglas Luiz, wanted by Man City. He's been at Man City. His footballing education is Brazilian. He's experienced as well and in his prime. And then, of course, Guimaraes, Zubimendi, and Douglas Luiz share one thing. They're all players in their in their prime. 25, 25, 25, around 26 there. That is when you want to get them. So you cannot really say Joao Neves is here to make you win. He's here to, impact right away. Even for me, I would even say that if Arsenal are really have really well scouted Yusuf Fofana, you could even place Yusuf Fofana in front of him because in terms of talent, Yusuf Fofana is a talent and is a midfield dynamite. But after those four, please place him there. He's definitely there. I think the thing we have seen with players like Lucas Torreira and Busquets and Lisandro Martinez at Man United, they're players that are defeated by their shortcomings, right? And then they're players that are powered by their shortcomings. So with Lucas Torreira and Lisandro Martinez, they're short and not as big, right? So they have been bullied by the media as they bully players on the pitch. Like I don't remember a game where Lucas Torreira started in midfield and I was so scared. Oh my god, this tiny guy is in midfield. No, I wasn't, because I know he can hunt you down. And he will hunt you down for 90 minutes. So that is the quality that Joao Neves has. He will hunt you down, and he will hunt you down for 90 minutes. Doesn't have the physicality. So probably his positioning game has got to be better. His anticipation game has got to be top notch. But in terms of hunting, like we've seen Odegaard hunt, like we've seen Kai Havertz hunt you down, that would be another bulldog, for us to use in hunting. So would I start him in right away? No, I wouldn't really start him right away. I think this season is this season, I'm gonna say this season Arsenal are pregnant, so it can't go wrong. Yeah, we are pregnant, and we must deliver. And I think our belly is bigger in the eyes of the opposition as compared to the fans, because as fans you'll always have that moment of self-doubt, City, this, but the fans are waiting to laugh. They're saying this is the season where you have nothing to tell us. The squad is together, the manager is sending a new deal, all your players have come into their prime like you told us you would. So please, what is your excuse? So we are pregnant, and we are 8 months pregnant, we are 9 months pregnant, we've got to deliver. So I wouldn't say that a medical intern like Joao Neves is going to make us deliver or should make us deliver. Now, like I said, he's generational talent. He's exceptional. He might come in and seamlessly slide into that midfield. And we never noticed like there was a midfielder who came in and he was not even here. So that is how good I would actually rate him. And that's how good I really rate him. But I would say it's unnecessary pressure on a 19-year-old, 20-year-old at the moment. If you can get Yusuf Fofana and Joao Neves, right, do that. If you can get Joao Neves, keep Partey and Jorginho, you do that. Let Joao Neves play 11 games in his first campaign. 11 games? 8 games in his first campaign. Don't even play him in the UEFA Champions League if you don't have to. Play him in the Carabao Cup, play him in the FA Cup until you get knocked out. And then slowly but surely upgrade him every single season. If you win silverware this season, next season he plays 22 games. The next season he starts playing his 38 games, because you've got to protect him as a player. I think these days young players are no longer protected. Saka, one of them, obviously. Pedri, the other, the other player I really love and care about, that is non-protected. So I would say you bring him in. It's a Premier League, of course. It's brutal, it's harsh, and VAR is angry because we are voting on it. So it's going to be more difficult. So bring him in, but protect him.
Now, it would be a dream if you sign him and you still have Partey and Jorginho. That would be an absolute dream signing. But You and us other Arsenal fans and football fans, if you wake up in the morning and you hear someone has been signed for 120 million euros, you would expect him to be a player who is definitely coming to start. So do you think he's worth that 120 million euro fee?
Absolutely not. Now, I am not yet. I'm not yet in the business of signing players to give them amortized contracts because they will come good in the next 20 years. I'm not yet there. I'm still the Arsene Wenger guy. If you're going to come good in the next 20 years, let us pay 1 million for you, and you come here. If we pay 40 million for you, if we pay 30 million for you, you've got to come at Arsenal and you've got to deliver. So for me, I would actually say if I'm Benfica, I wouldn't attach a value to this boy. I wouldn't really attach a value to, a financial value to him at the moment. I don't think at 19 years of age, 120 million euros. Where are we going? What are we actually doing, right? So I would say if you Arsenal, the maximum we should pay is 50 million euros for me. 50 million euros. That's the maximum. 19-year-old,
Wow.
he has impressed. Yeah, he has a big potential. 50 million euros. I mean, you're selling us a dream, right? You're
70
selling it.
million less.
No, not 70 million euros. Not 70 million euros. And
No,
also,
I'm
Glenn,
saying like in terms of 70 million
mm,
less than what they want, 50 million euros.
yes, 70 million euros less than what they want. And also, the other thing why I would not pay them that much is the talent on the market right now. Like,
Mm,
it's huge. There's a lot of
mm,
talent on the market. If we're talking about Fofana, 25 million euros. We've not even talked about the guy, my boy at at Feyenoord. He might follow Anslot. I like that
mm.
boy. What's his name? Vayne
Not
something,
oh,
right?
I thought you're
Yeah.
talking about Team by its brother.
No. Now, in terms of defensive midfielders this season, the DM at Feyenoord has been top
Mhm.
five. Actually, sorry, top three in Europe, right? And his price, 35 million euros.
Wow.
That is what he might actually command. So in terms of talent and in terms of availability, in terms of players that are ready to perform, you're not going to really sell me the idea of a 19-year-old dream at 120 million euros. No, I would go and splash good money elsewhere.
That makes absolute sense. So it's going to be a busy one in terms of our midfield. That is my priority, and I hope we make the right decision. There's still a bit of uncertainty. I saw a couple of people saying, this is the toughest in terms of predicting what Arsenal want to do because they've been linked to different kinds of players, some, ball controllers, bullies in midfield, different wingers, different strikers. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think by the end of June, we'll have an answer in terms of almost our whole squad and what we're
Yeah,
looking for.
and actually, I don't think that Arsenal are 100% sure of the target. Like you have Sesko, I think they have a list of profiles and a list of qualities, and they're ticking a few at every single station. They're looking at the Joao Neves station and they're like, oh, very good, but in terms of experience you don't have, and also in terms of the price, you're actually above what we're looking for. Then they're looking
Mm.
at Bruno Guimaraes. You have everything we're looking for apart from the price. We're sorry. Then you have the Yusuf Fofana's station, where you look at Yusuf Fofana and like, yeah, but you're coming from a club like Monaco, and we might not be able to trust you right away at the moment. Not a Bruno Guimaraes. You're not a player like Martin Zubimendi. Then you have Martin Zubimendi, who doesn't want to join. At the moment, he wants to stay in the Basque region. So I don't think Arsenal concretely sure. This is the guy. He ticks 99% of what we want. Let's go and lock in. So I think that's why they're saying because they have a Declan Rice who can play as an 8. If they go and successfully sign a 6, then Rice stays as 8. But if they go and successfully get an 8, you won't be surprised, and I won't be surprised to see Declan Rice drop into the 6 for the long term.
Makes sense. Let us know what you make of the midfield situation. Next up, let's talk about Benjamin Sesko. Arsenal are confident of completing Benjamin Sesko deal. The offer is on the table, and according to reports on Benjamin Sesko from Franz Fletcher, Benjamin Sesko is highly admired at Arsenal, and Team Talk understands an offer is on the table, which the club believe will convince the player to pick them. Sources say Sesko is impressed by the project at Arsenal, but is taking time to consider all the offers. So Arsenal are confident the deal, Benjamin Sesko's deal is going to go through. Same as me. These days when I link to a player and I hear Man United one team, Chelsea one team, Liverpool one team, I'm not really worried. I feel like whatever I do has told him, what Stats has told him, the project that we have, two title chases in the last couple of years. We've gotten to a Champions League quarterfinal for the first time since 2010. The players were able to attract these days. We're building a squad. I think this probably for me is the best squad since we have to go to the Van Persie Fabregas days. We've not really had a squad like this. So there's something right with this team, the culture in the team, the mentality in the team, the way we come back and score last minute goals, the way we come back from behind, the way we finally competed for a title up until the final day for the first time since 1998. All that, everything is going positively. So, as Franz Fletcher said, Kozi, the club is convinced the player will pick them. Are you convinced, though?
For the fans that don't support Arsenal, this is not for you. This is for the fans that wear, white and red. And that is RB Leipzig and Arsenal. This is between us. This is our war. I'm afraid RB Leipzig at the moment, and people don't want to admit this, but RB Leipzig's offer is insane, absolutely insane. I've been talking about this like a song. Imagine you're at a club where you're earning 50,000 a week. That dramatically is doubled. You're offered the role of a star. You're going to be the star of the project next season, and you're also going to be given assurance that you can leave. I'm afraid that is a very good offer. It is too good to be true. It is too good to turn down. Now, however much that has been offered to him, I don't think Benjamin Sesko has been told that he's going to be the star at Arsenal, but I think in terms of wages, he's been offered that. In terms of going further in the Premier League and the Champions League, he knows this is the Arsenal project, and that's what they can do. And also in terms of career development, I think the next step right now is a big club like Arsenal, and they have come in for me. Take the opportunity and run when you have it. So I'm confident we will get him. I'm very, very confident we'll get him. But I'm also, looking at RB Leipzig through the corner of my eye. That contract, it will get them confident. It will really, really get them confident. And should they play the loyalty card? Should they play the sympathy card? That is what I'm afraid of, right? And I've not seen it, right? I've not seen it yet. But clubs do play that sympathy card. They could tell a player, listen, you've been here. We don't have a replacement, and you are our guy. You know where we've come from. You've been part of the Red Bull network, and you know how much we value you. You know how much the fans like you. And it's not like your contract is running down. It's not like you're aging, right? How about you stay here for 1 year? You help us. By the time for us, we'll have sorted out our situation, and then we will let you go. Dortmund have played it with Jadon Sancho until Manchester United got him the next summer. And then Dortmund have also done it with Erling Haaland, where he should have moved earlier on. Chelsea were really big, decided to stay, and then he moved to Man City the next summer. So
Brighton with Caicedo?
Yeah, Brighton with Moises Caicedo in January, where Arsenal had really put up what I would call unresistible money in a January transfer window, 80 plus million. So I would say at the moment, 55% Arsenal, 45%, 40% Leipzig, 5% Chelsea.
So not even United?
And with Manchester United, they're just wasting time here. They're just wasting time. They're either just watching, right? They're either just watching, or they have sent in their proposal just to fulfill the obligation of, hey, Eric Ten Hag, you wanted Sesko, we're setting our offer, but it didn't go through. I don't think if Arsenal are in the position of Manchester United, I don't think we would go in with Sesko against Arsenal, Leipzig, and Chelsea. So when you think about what Arsenal have been doing in the last few years, we've not been as attractive as other projects, Real Madrid, FC Barcelona, FC Bayern, Man City. So what we've done is we've gone with players where you have a little bit of less competition, but also players that are 100% locked onto joining Arsenal. I remember Gabriel Magalhaes choosing the Arsenal project over all other projects, and Arsenal went on to press ahead, get that deal done a little bit quickly, and then it's the announcement that took a lot of time. Houssem Aouar is another player, wanted Arsenal. A deal just didn't happen because Jean-Michel Aulas is very difficult to negotiate with, and even up until now, the likes of Julian Timber, sources saying he only wanted Arsenal. Declan Rice was locked onto joining Arsenal. So that's why I'm not scared about Man United. I think they've entered the market that they know they cannot win that player. They cannot win that talent. They don't have a single reason to compete with Chelsea, who have a much better project than them, and to compete with Arsenal, who are at the level right now of Manchester City, I would say. So at the moment, for me, it's Chelsea. It is Arsenal.
Absolutely makes sense. So your biggest worry is Leipzig. I kind of would agree. So according to Franz Fletcher as well, he said he's convinced that Arsenal is convinced that the player will pick them. So Sesko is impressed by the project at Arsenal, but he's taking time to consider all the offers. Why do you think he's taking the time? Do you think he's actually thinking about staying at Leipzig, or is actually thinking about the two other teams? Because if you really Arsenal are convinced, he should have by now said, okay, I want my future sorted out, let me join Arsenal before the Euros. Why do you think he's taking time? Do you think he's actually thinking about staying at Leipzig?
I think his camp and the player know that the best option for them is to stay at RB Leipzig for 1 more year. They actually know that. But at the moment, they have a crazy opportunity that has manifested along the way. It's as simple as that. It's seeing a bar of gold as you're driving along the highway. You know the best. This could be robbers, right? The best option for you is to continue on your road, just go and reach wherever you're going safely. So if you're Benjamin Sesko and you have this wonderful Leipzig project, the best thing for you is to be there for 3 years, develop well, and as a young striker. When you're 23, you have matured. You can go out there and face whatever kind of environment and roles and responsibilities and challenges are there. Playing for a club like Arsenal is not easy. Playing for a club like Chelsea is not easy. The level of demand, the level of criticism that these fans give, including myself, right? It is insane. So he knows that the best option is stay at RB Leipzig, but he thinks this is a dream come true. This is a massive opportunity for him. Missed out on going to Manchester United. I think that was a year or two ago. A chance has actually come back. I don't think they would want to miss it. So that's why they're taking a little bit of time to say, do we really stay? We know it's right, but then this opportunity, will it come back? And if it comes back, will it be Arsenal? If he wants to play for Arsenal, like we have had, then I think that's where the conflicting loyalties are.
Interesting, because we are now getting even closer to the Euros. We are now 9 days away, but I feel like he's still going to make his decision before then. And Arsenal are confident we're going to get this deal done. So I think you're going to hear a massive breakthrough. I think by Friday or something like that, you're going to hear a lot of on terms of what he's deciding and all that. So do you think, lastly on him, do you think Arsenal, if he takes too much time to make up his mind, do you think Arsenal will walk away, and should we just walk away and just go and to other targets if he gets to next week Thursday?
Not really. I think Arsenal look at him as well as a rare market opportunity. Like the way you look at Joshua Zirkzee. When I look at Joshua Zirkzee, by the way, I'm like, this guy is like Leroy Sané. This guy, the profile of him is very good, but not for what Arsenal are looking at the moment. Not for a centre forward with a killer instinct. Takes a lot of touches. Wants to remove everyone in the penalty area before scoring. Sesko is kind of the opposite. So they're looking at Sesko as the X factor that is lacking, the X factor at a cheaper price, and the X factor that would be at Arsenal for 9 years. I mean, I won't be surprised if Barcelona rebuild their finances 8 years later, and they're like, oh, we want Benjamin Sesko. Arsenal, our thing. You always give us players, but in terms of longevity, in terms of price, in terms of just a striker, because he is a striker, it's a rare opportunity. So I don't think Arsenal will just walk away if it doesn't happen before the Euros. I think Arsenal will be feeling and thinking Slovenia might not go through to the next round before July. So they will wait for him after the Euros. I mean, give him 1-2 days for feeling sad for his national team and then go back again.
Absolutely makes sense. You've been on fire with the analogies as well today. When we were kids analogy, toy analogy, all that gold analogy. He's been on form. So we don't have too many midfielders. So you understand, big link to a midfielder. We don't really have an out-and-out striker. We're being into strikers. But our position, we have a lot of players with left back. But despite that, we are still linked to left backs. And according to reports from the Athletic, in terms of Arsenal looking for a left back is another area of focus for Arsenal. None of the existing options convinced Mikel Arteta. The return to fitness of Jurriën Timber provides another alternative, but the club are continuing to monitor the market for a specialist. So, apparently, doesn't consider any of them a specialist. Now, we have 4 players who can play there. Tomiyasu can play there. For sure. Kivia can play there, for sure. Zinchenko can play there, for sure. Jurriën Timber can play there, for sure. 4 players who can play there. But Arteta is looking for specialists. Now, for me, I feel like Zinchenko is not the best defender, so that is a problem. The first job you have to do as a defender is to defend. And Zinchenko is better in terms of going forward and pushing the ball forward. And maybe at the end of the day, he's going to leave or he's going to be used more as a midfielder. Tomiyasu availability is a problem, just like Zinchenko, but he can also be used as a backup for Ben White. And in terms of doing the inverting things and controlling midfield and the passes in between the lines, I don't think Tomiyasu is your guy in terms of. But in terms of defending, great. If you had Zinchenko and Tomiyasu as one player, you'd have a very, very deadly player there. We have Timber's also coming back from an injury, but we thought he was being signed as a center back, a right back, but he's been playing as a left back. He can do the inverted thing, but maybe he can't really overlap time and time again. Maybe Arteta feels that way. And then we also have Akivia, who's more of a specialist as a center back. He does the overlapping thing well, but he can't really do the inverted thing. And the moment we switched him from doing inverting to overlapping, he started looking better player. Against Fulham, when you're asking him to do the inverting thing, he was looking out of place, and we changed it and he was looking better. So we're looking for specialist calls. Are you surprised that we despite having 4 players who can play there, that is a position we're actually looking to buy someone?
Very surprised. Very, very, very surprised. I've done videos explaining why the return of Jurriën Timber is going to change the Arsenal left-hand side forever. And the manager has said no. The person we are going to sign, the person who's going to change the Arsenal left-hand side, the Arsenal left-back position, is anonymous. We don't have him at the club. I am not convinced about that. I'm really, really, really confused about that. Like, it's one of the things that I've looked at, and I'm like, okay, please explain. Explain how we have all these options that you yourself has gone to the market and bought one by one, and you're convinced by none of them. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, I think what Mikel Arteta is thinking here is we've had one injury for the Jurriën Timber injury, and we have had a mess. We have had to play Zinchenko, where you could actually argue that if Kivio played against Aston Villa, the positioning on both goals it doesn't cost us, because it was horrendous. Borderline. When we say a manager has made a sackable offense, Alexander Zinchenko's mistakes against Villa was sackable. If he was manager, like the way he's standing there right in that picture, that is the picture of this job is gone. So I would understand. Jakub Kivio, you can't really blame him very much. In some games where you expected him to deliver, he didn't, especially against Bayern. And like we said, Takara Tomiyasu, he's only available when we don't expect him to. When we really want him to be available, he's somehow not always there. So I think that is what Mikel Arteta is considering, that if I have a player that is not available at left back, like Jurriën Timber is reliable, I don't have one I can trust. So maybe he's going for someone he can trust. And also, secondly, I think with Timber, he was brought in initially to play at right back. So maybe he wants to shift him back there. And also as a player who can actually provide a lot of cover in midfield. Won't be surprised actually to see Jurriën Timber inverting and progressing into a John Stones at Man City. Because for me, when I see Stones these days, I'm like, is he part of the midfield? No. When he starts playing, he's definitely part of the midfield. So I think we might see a different role for Julian Timber, and we might see a specialist at left back. But also, I think we expect a departure there. We really, really do expect a departure there.
Speaking of departures, let me bring in this from Fabrizio as well. Arsenal could sell Jakub Kivior this summer, but only for an important proposal. Kivior to AC Milan stories are also back. He has always been appreciated by AC Milan. So could this be the guy? So my question is, out of these 4 players, who, I don't know if I should ask you, who do you think will leave or who should leave? So if you're told you have to keep 2 and sell the other 2, who would you keep and who would you let go?
Zinchenko for me goes because the project is evolving and is evolving past him, quickly. It's a tough one between Tomiyasu and Kivior because Kivior has got the ability to stay fit, right? I think Tomiyasu stays for me. Tomiyasu stays because of his quality, right? So I would get rid of Zinchenko. I'd get rid of Kivior. I think if in Kivior right now, you get good money and you get good profit. Like, we might be talking about 30 million. That would be double what we got him for. With Alexander Zinchenko, I don't think there's profit there. Bayern have just said that he's not 100% hot on their list. So I wouldn't say that he's going to get a lot of, we're going to make a lot of profit on him, but I would move him on just to protect his value and get some good money from him while we still can. Right. So those are the 2 I would get rid of. And still, those are the 2 I think that Mikel Arteta will get rid of, at least one of them.
If you're to keep 3, you'd keep Kivior?
Yeah, I would keep Kivior if I was to keep.
So I put a poll earlier yesterday asking whether they would keep or sell Kivior. So the options were keep for sure, or number 2, keep for now. Number 3, sell for sure. Number 4, sell, but only for the right price. So far, close to 1,000 votes. 52% say keep for sure for Kivior. 25% is saying keep for now. Let's see what happens if you get any other players. And then 13% say you can sell, but only for the right price. And 9% are saying sell for sure. So not many people want Kivior to see Kivior as a definite sell. I'm sure if I put the same for Zinchenko, I'm sure a lot of people will say definite sell because I'm in the minority in terms of wanting to keep Zinchenko. But I think if you put that question to me, the same question I put to you, I think I'd still keep Timber and Tomiyasu, so it would be a very, very tough one. But it's going to be very interesting, man. In terms of left back and striker and midfield situation, it's going to be tough to know who's going to come in and who's going to leave. So last question to finish off the left back situation, Cozy, who do you think we are going to get in terms of that? Are you going to get a definite starter? Are you going to get a backup for Timber? What are we looking at?
I think Mikel is he's targeting someone who can start in that position because of Julian Timber's versatility. So he knows he can play Timber anywhere. He can play Timber in midfield. I'm excited to see him, play him in midfield because I know he will. But at the moment, when you look at the targets, I think he wants someone who provides something at left back, something different, and someone who can start. So that's like Fadi Kadioglu. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Timber keeps his position, and then we successfully get a player like Jora Hartel. Still young, there's no reason for you to rush him into the team. He can provide cover at centre back, so that means that he primarily comes in as as cover for your centre backs. So I think it's two-way. It's the market that will determine. If the market allows us to get some of the quality, like Man City got Josko Gvardiol, then definitely I wouldn't be surprised to see someone who starts at left back. But of course, if we can only get a fringe player, someone who can be good, but will need some time to develop and some time to get used to the system, can't deliver right away, then I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal just go for someone secondary, right, to what we have, because again, that wouldn't change the plan that very much.
Okay, so I've written down right now as you were talking 5 left backs, and I want you to tell me whether yes or no they would fit in that position for you, whether you'd be like, yeah, bring him and start him. Cucurella?
Ooh. Offensively, very good. Defensively, Alexander Zinchenko, no.
No. Robinson from Fulham?
Absolutely, 100%.
8 Nori from Wolves?
Ooh.
In terms of attacking, I think he's even better than Cucurella by far.
Yeah. Enore. I'll take Enore. Yes, I'll take him.
And you'll take him and start him?
Yeah.
You'll also take Robinson and start him?
Yeah.
DiMarco?
Oof. Oof. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come
Inter
on.
Milan
Come
have
on.
some proper players, so you definitely yes.
DiMarco would play at left back, like, let me say, have we had a very long serving left back, like
Ashley Cole?
for 5 years, 6 years?
I think Ashley Cole maybe could be the last one.
Yeah, so like he would be that, he's that guy.
And then finally Grimaldo.
Grimaldo, I have problems with him defensively because he plays too high.
Formation-wise as well.
Yeah,
Formation as well.
position-wise.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. I would get him, but I wouldn't start him.
Yeah, so that takes me to the other position again, because we'd had things about Frimpong. That means Frimpong wouldn't really fit at Arsenal because they're basically like strikers, both of them.
Yeah, they're basically strikers. I think in terms of profile, one player that would be really perfect for me would be DiMarco and then Theo Hernandez at AC Milan.
Interesting. So from the 5 I've given, you'd have DiMarco first and then 8 Noria Robinson second?
Robinson second. Robinson definitely second, because Robinson is playing in a system that defends and they're not always on the ball, but they're not willing to sacrifice their defensive independence. With Wolves, what we have seen this season is a player like Enori might not be really concerned with defending, and they could get away with it because of the quality he has in the other end. With Fulham, they're balanced. You must defend and you must be able to attack.
Absolutely. That was a really, really good one. We discussed our midfield situation, Joao Neves. We've discussed about the left back situation. In terms of midfield, we also talked about Onana, left back situation, a lot of the left backs who could fit the Arsenal profile. Sesko as well. Let's on him. Let us know what you make of all that. As always, follow me and Cozy on Twitter, Glenn Kitely and Cozy Arsenal for more conversations. Make sure to check out Cozy's video that we've done later on today. His link is in the title. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch up with you on the next one.